My name's Simon Green. I'm a military veteran. I was in the army for 9 years. There was absolutely no point in my army career where any help was offered, where anybody was talked to about any issues that were going on. See, the way I look at it is that it's the life in the military is incredibly stressful anyway. From the training, obviously there's the operational tours, there's the things that you see and the things that you do, but the whole of life in the military is stressful, every part of it.
I never saw myself as ever going to have a problem with mental health. I was considered a robust soldier. I had no clue that all the while, as all I was doing was putting walls up and blocking my real feelings about shooting, about killing, about watching people die, about seeing people die, and about feeling the fear of death. You know, just going through a street of a town where you know everyone there hates you.
1 minute that way! Right there!
Go!
I think there's no one pattern of the causes. Trauma is obviously very complex, and in some cases there did seem to be one clear event that had caused a psychological injury. But in other cases it was very much an accumulation of events. And some of those could have started before somebody even joined the military.
I'd seen some things and been involved in some things that were really difficult while I was in the army. But like I say, you just got on with it, carried on with it, have a drink and a laugh about it afterwards, and that was pretty much it. It wasn't one particular thing, it was just it was just everything. You know, it was just the whole experience, I guess.
Fight!
It's like having a different person in the house, and it could be the simplest of things could make him change. So it could be something daft like putting a coffee cup on the table, and he can foresee how that's going to end up with the house burning down.
This isn't something that gets talked about because the women are often reluctant to speak up. They don't want to embarrass their husbands. Their husbands may forbid them from speaking out. It's a very sensitive subject, huge amounts of stigma associated with it, and often they just don't know how to speak out.
If something's going wrong in a relationship, I'll just want to get out there. I'll just, it's the worst thing I know. I know it's the worst thing, but I can't stop doing it. So every time there's a screaming and shouting match, all I want to, I'll hang up, I'll walk off, I'll run off, which then infuriates the other person. But for me, that's me getting out of this crazy situation.
Now, our military and our first responders are highly trained to be in abnormal events, so that they have normal, for them, responses to be able to survive battle. And even with all that training, they cannot be inoculated against post-traumatic stress. By definition, post-traumatic stress is an anxiety disorder that develops in reaction to a physical injury or a severe mental or emotional distress. Now, I'm not going to name all the ways you can get post-traumatic stress. All you have to do is look on your cell phone. Open a paper, turn on the news, and there's millions of different types of ways you can get post-traumatic stress.
I know that it was an accumulation of stress from day one of my life. So childhood has got its events and has had its impacts. The teenage years, and then joining the military. Living in the military is a stressful thing to do. You know, you're always away, you're always under pressure, you're always competing, you're always being advanced, promotion and things. So it is a stressful career. So my name is Jamie Sanderson. I was a sergeant in the Royal Marines for 18 years, and I'm now the welfare director and one of the founders of Rocks Recovery. We do two things. We make sure people are getting help, and that help needs to be working. And then we make sure that they're helping themselves. We got together as two guys who had just left the military for the same reason, and we sat down as lads do and just nitpicked and moaned about the system and how it had not failed us, but it hadn't managed us correctly, or it could have been done in a better way. So we sort of thought about it. We didn't know
what Rock to Recovery was going to be or how we were going to do it, but we just knew that there was a gap that needed filling, and that's what happened. We started the journey of Rock to Recovery, which has been going 2-3 years, you know, from idea, the idea, the concept, to now, and it seems to be developing all the time. It's growing, it's evolving, and it is there, and it's helping people.
It doesn't matter what your life's been like, whether it's been, you know, running around the world doing whatever, if you've been in a war zone, or you've just had family problems, or you've been in a car crash, it's all relative to the life that you've had.
Post-traumatic stress disorder has quite a number of possible symptoms attached to it. The signature symptom that, in a sense, has become the most famous one is, of course, the flashback, where a sufferer can experience a life-threatening, terrifying event as if it's happening again, almost in high definition.
Fight!
They pop up when the subconscious is active, such as when you're asleep or when you're triggered by something that you don't expect. And yeah, they make you really aware that you're not well, and emotionally and mentally, you kind of know you're unwell, but you fight it, you resist it a little bit. You don't want to have to deal with it.
The symptoms I struggle with more than anything are anxiety. Hypervigilance, always expecting the worst to happen with everything, even the smallest of things. Things have improved to a certain degree for me now, but there was a point not that long ago where I wouldn't answer the phone. I still don't pick up mail that comes through the door because I'm so concerned about what what's going to be in those letters, who's going to be on the end of the phone.
I don't get set off anymore, but what does trigger an emotion probably most of the time is kids. So kids crying, or actually the worst one is when you've seen a kid experience something that's pretty bad, screaming and shouting match, or something really horrific, and they just have a deadpan expression of non-emotional, almost like shell shock. And it bothers me because I've witnessed kids, that response in kids in conflict zones with regard to stuff that I've done, as in pretty bad stuff. So I've not hurt them physically, but they've been all witness to me dealing with people. And
got to a stage where I felt it was time to end it, and I was driving in my car, and I knew that at the end of the road is a sharp right turn and the bridge, and I knew that all I had to do was put my foot down and just don't bother making the turn. Fortunately, I had Bianca in the car with me, and she stopped me. So what went from a blaze of glory and driving off became a slamming on the brakes, pulling over and sobbing my eyes out for half hour.
But I also think we need to be much more creative about the kind of treatment we use, because a lot of what is offered is essentially a form of talk therapy, perhaps cognitive behavioural therapy, even the trauma-focused variety. And that is what's called a top-down therapy. Essentially, it tries to change the way you think.
Therapists and psychologists are trying to deal with things that happened years and years ago. And for most people, the issue that really needs to be sorted out is the problems that they're having now.
the changes I'd like to see is basically the stigma gone. People see it as a normal response to some abnormal things that happen in life, or even just normal things that happen in life. But it is what it is. We've all got minds. They're all susceptible to breaking every once in a while, and we should be able to embrace and engage with those people when they need help, because you never know when you might need that help.